Hello everybody and welcome back to World of Warships Legends. My name is Spartan Elite 43 and tonight we are back in the Schlieffen. And we're going to take a look at the new German commander, the Izuyoi Nonomi. That's the closest I've got. I apologize if that's nowhere near. But anyway, it's a different kind of build than we normally run. So we'll go over the strengths, the weaknesses. But first things first, her base trait is secondary battery reload time reduction, as well as damage against battleships being increased. Franz von Hipper and Haruna as our inspirations. Kind of gives you an idea of what we're looking for out here. But we've got not one for the nuisance. We've got her base trait, which is highly educated crew, which gives us not only more range in our secondaries, but also damage control charges, which comes in handy on these with limited damage controls. We've got punishment time, which decreases the cooldown of our enhanced secondary targeting charge for every secondary battery hit by 0.4. Okay, so you start to stack up quite a bit really quickly on your cooldown for your enhanced secondary targeting charge, and you get an extra boot or an extra charge for your enhanced secondary targeting. And then, of course, we've got Master Mechanic for the extra heals. I don't have this commander maxed out, so Master Mechanic is only giving me 1 heal instead of 2, which is unfortunate. But we are also running the Secondary Interest skill, which reduces the cooldown of our enhanced secondary targeting, as well as giving us 2 more charges for the enhanced secondary targeting. You could swap this out for this one if you want, but honestly, I like this. Anytime your enhanced secondary targeting is active, the special effect initiates, and that gives you increased secondary battery dispersion, reload time, and main battery reload time. So pretty fun little build, even if it's not the best, and we'll go over why. But as usual, my modules haven't changed. We've got the secondary battery mod in slot 1. We've got propulsion mod in slot 2. We've got concealment system mod. And we got secondary battery mod 3 in the final slot. This is a full secondary build, okay? And because of that, it's going to cause some problems for us. But let's get into the specs and show you why it's going to cause us some problems, and that is simply your firing range. Having 16.5 kilometers of main battery firing range sucks, all right? We're not even running the Brawler perk. Imagine if we were. If we were running Brawler, it'd be even worse. But, yeah. That is one downside. The other downside is reload time. And this is a little bit odd. Reload time being 32 seconds honestly isn't that big a deal. It's basically normal. However, anytime you've got your secondary booster running, you're going to get a little bit faster reload anyway. So it's not as bad as it seems, but it's still kind of annoying, right? When you're going all in on secondaries at Legendary tier, you're going to run into some issues. But with this build, one of the things I forgot to look at, with this build, our secondary range is still 12.8 kilometers. Right? But they reload 3.4 seconds, and the 150s reload in 7.8 seconds, and that gets a little bit faster as we use our button as well. So 12.8 kilometer secondaries is pretty ridiculous, especially when they're as accurate as they are on the Schlieffen. But with all of that being said, we're not going to play around. We're just going to get straight into the gameplay and show you guys kind of what this thing can do with the secondaries. Alrighty, so we're going to be on Hotspot, and this was the first game that I actually played in the Schlieffen with this build. I did play some more tonight, and my average damage was about 100,000 damage. It ended up being a pretty mediocre night for me. Played around with some other ships as well, but overall it's kind of one of those nights where it's just raffle stomps. I mean, it just seems to be every night anymore, where just every game is over so quick, it's ridiculous. Either you're on the giving or the receiving end, and neither of them feel good. But one of the things I'm going to do here is, because we're on a smaller map, and I know that the enemy tend to be a little bit more aggressive on this map, I'm just going to kind of post up and be a little bit more patient at the beginning of this match, because I don't really need to go anywhere, right? So we've got a destroyer here, got a battleship behind me. The battleship is actually going to turn to kind of run, I guess, but I'm going to try to put myself behind the island enough to where I can still shoot if the destroyer gets something spotted, but also not in such a way where I'm going to get myself yeeted because of it. Now, Colombo gets spotted bow in. I don't take the shot right away because I'm waiting for a better angle, and sure enough, the Iwami comes out, and then I don't know what's going on. I don't know if my guns weren't quite there yet or whatever. But here you see me checking my secondary battery range and noting that it's 12.8. So we're going to be a little while before we can use these secondaries, right? But if you look at that Iwami, we know that he's pushing out towards that edge. Our destroyer's in the cap. There is a Mino in the cap with our destroyer, or close to the cap. So the destroyer wisely backs off. There's no reason for him to keep himself in a position where he can be countered by the Mino. That Mino pushes out, he could easily kill a destroyer in seconds before we're able to delete him. So it's always in your best interest. If you see a Mino and a destroyer, just keep your distance, play safer. If they come after you, just give them time. Try to stay skinny, and most of the time, a battleship will manage to get rid of that Mino pretty quickly. But patience. I know this is crazy coming from me because I'm like the most aggressive person on the planet when it comes to playing in ships in general. But in this particular match, seeing what the enemy is doing, playing more patiently is going to be rewarding. And now right here, you can see we've got the Colombo spotted. It's actually, I think, us spotting the Colombo, or it might be somebody behind me spotting him. But we get a shot at him, he gets a shot at us, and of course Colombo does what Colombo does, which is just smash. But minimal damage considering the amount of shells that we just took. But so far, we've had a pretty decent start, 21,000 damage, nothing too crazy. And you can see I'm already planning for these torpedoes around the corner. Remember, these are slow torpedoes. It takes them a long time to travel. And we know the Iwami is coming, right? Like, anybody with a brain cell pays attention to what's going on around the map, knows that they're coming. So we just gotta play it smart, be a little bit less crazy. Now, I do want to try to start to angle here because I don't want to be broadside when they come around the corner. Because Schlieffen has a very easy to citadel, is a very easy to citadel ship. But you can see Mino comes out, and he actually, I don't know if he's taking torpedoes or if somebody's shooting him, but either way, it's not ending well for the Mino at this point. And that's when my secondaries start going off and the Iwami gets spotted coming around the corner. So we're going to go ahead and use our first secondary charge. He's well within range, and I'm not going to lie, I was looking at these torpedoes going, please run into the torpedoes. Like, we placed them about as good as we could. The timing is beautiful, but unfortunately they just ran out of range. If we'd have waited a couple of seconds longer, there's a chance we hit that man with torps. He's right now, he's absolutely, like, thanking the Lord that he managed to get out of that without taking a torpedo. But unfortunately for him, I've still got my secondaries, and they are eating right now, as we've already scored 70 secondary hits on this man. It doesn't take very long, that's for sure. You can see I'm looking, instead of shooting the Iwami, we're going to let the secondaries do what they do, and we're going to try to shoot the Colombo since he's over-angled, and that turns out to be a very good use of our main gun. But our friendly Venezia goes full ham here, and honestly, I don't understand why. Like, you knew these guys were coming. There's no reason for you to just YOLO rush 2 battleships. But, I mean, in the end, he's going to get some damage, but he is going to be taken out in the process. We get some shots into the Iwami. We also managed to get fires with the secondaries. Unfortunately, Yama manages to take out the Iwami instead of us getting the kill, but it's fine. Now, the Colombo finds himself in the same situation that the Iwami did, which is he's all alone, and everybody's here to focus him. And by everybody, I mean it's just me and the Yama behind me, who initially ran away and is now turning around to come back. I don't run away very often, right? Like, if I have to kite, it's because there is no hope for our side of the map, right? But normally, I'm pretty good about sticking to my side, fighting. But you'll see here, I wait. I don't fire right away. He's in a smoke screen. He can't see me right now. But as soon as I get spotted, he's opening the angle, and we get a beautiful look and absolutely crush him. We're going to go ahead and throw the torpedoes out there just in case. We know that the destroyer's right there as well, but we get the torpedoes off. Secondaries are doing their thing. They manage to take some hits, and then, of course, the Yama comes in and gets another low-health kill. But that's not all. There's still a GK somewhere around here that we're going to have to contend with. I think it was a GK. And, yep, there he is. So GK is out there on the edge of the map. Yama's in a good position to shoot him as he comes around the corner. The destroyer is obviously spotting him. And now I'm in full, okay, time to push mode, right? Like, the main players are gone. The Colombo's gone. The Iwami's gone. The Mino's gone. Now we just had the Kerfer. So this is what we always talk about when it comes to recognizing when you have the advantage, right? Initially, let the enemy make their mistakes, right? Why help the enemy when you can let them push in, make their mistakes, and then counter that, right? But once you've countered the initial push, you recognize that you have the advantage, it's time to get moving, right? You don't want to just sit there for the rest of the game and not do anything. And if you pay attention, we have a destroyer behind us, which is why I'm running my sonar, because I know there's a Shima behind us in the A cap, right? Now, I don't know if he has torpedoes long enough range to hit me, but I don't want to find out. So we're going to get moving forward. We're going to target the Kerr first, try to get rid of him. He is now in the same position that the previous two guys were in, where they pushed out. They are now by themselves and now going to get focused down. You've got a Yama who's a little bit over-angled for my comfort, but fortunately for the Yama, I'm closer, and the likelihood that that GK shoots me is just higher, right? So GK is going to take some torpedoes from our destroyer. I'm going to get a shot up into the upper side plating superstructure and absolutely punish him for it. And now it's at this point that I'm pretty confident he's dead. He's got a double fire burning. He's got all kinds of stuff going for the secondary. He's got the Flood, and then of course Flood ends up finishing him off. So now we're already in our turn, headed back towards the Charlie cap and into the inside. There's no reason for us to stick around out here. You can see on the minimap that 2 destroyers plus 2 battleship and a cruiser have pushed out that right flank. Our team has put themselves in a position where they can't really do a whole lot, and now they're defending the cap, and we've got a Kleber that's pushing out. So I get a good shot on the Kleber. The secondaries are doing what the secondaries do. Unfortunately, we don't have a booster ready to go to help, but still, secondaries from Schlieffen versus a destroyer are devastating. You take so much damage so fast from these very accurate secondaries that it's kind of crazy. But as Kleber comes back around, you know he's going to try to torp. Right, he's got the wing turret, he's got the centerline turrets, or the 2 wing torpedo tubes and the centerline torpedo tube. So he's always got at least one set of torps ready to go when he does a loop to them. So we get rid of him, and then we slow down, we turn in. We want to try to minimize the amount of damage that we take here. We're probably going to take 1, but if we can minimize it, that would be ideal. Unfortunately, we do end up taking 2 torpedoes. Lose a lot more hit points than I probably should have in this situation. But now we move into the cap, we get the base so that we maintain our points lead because their destroyers are no longer able to capture a base anytime soon. So at this point, I'm thinking, okay, well, I'm spotted. I know the destroyer's behind me. Likely going for that Yamato. Ain't nothing I can do about it. So capturing this base and trying to put myself in a position to support the rest of the team on the far flank against that other cruiser is the play that I decide to make here. And you can see I'm asking for intelligence data, but there's nothing that anybody can do. Like, they're so far away, they can't really help with it, right? We do have a radar cruiser left. There are 2 destroyers left, so hopefully between them they can get rid of them. And you can see the small end is actually engaging our destroyer. Des Moines, I don't know if he's in a position where he can help the destroyer at all, but the Louisiana is pushing up that flank as well, and there is hope that he can help with the Smollett. And between the gearing and any help that he may have received, they take down the Smollett, leaving only the Shima, and the Shima is obviously chasing the Yama. The Yama is trying to get the hell out of there, and unfortunately he takes torpedoes, and that's the end of the Yama. We get the solo cap on this flank, so now it is time for us, again, not sitting around waiting for the Shima to come at us, because it's so difficult for us to counter a destroyer that doesn't make a huge mistake. Now, using the terrain, I could potentially get the destroyer caught out, but for the most part, my goal here is to simply get rid of the cruiser, right? So getting out of the cap, moving around, trying to get out in front of the cruiser, which we know is a Venezia, gives us a good chance to potentially counter him. Also puts some distance between me and the Shima, and hopefully keeps us mostly out of danger. At least from that. But Venezia is still a very dangerous ship. Now, we've taken quite a bit of damage throughout the match, so we're probably a little bit saturated. So I don't know how much damage that he's going to get with any SAP that he shoots at me, but Venezia will find out. That thing shoots enough SAP at you that something is going to pin somewhere. Like, you're going to take hits. That's the absolute brutal reality of the Venezia. But I understand where the Venezia is trying to get to, so we try to put ourselves out in front. Again, you can see that I'm spotted now, so we know roughly about where he's at in terms of distance. So we're at a decent enough range that I feel confident of being able to hit the target currently, but that'll change if he ever decides to turn out. Now here I am conscious of the fact that that destroyer is likely trying to get into Charlie right now. Venezia comes out, he does fire his SAP at us, we got our secondaries going, you can see he gets a pretty disgusting opening salvo on us, as you'd expect. We do use our heal here, which is probably not advisable, but secondaries are doing what they do, which is just reach out and bug people. And then we're going to keep the Venezia running away, right? Like, as long as he's kiting, he's only going to have so far to go. He's eventually going to run out of real estate. But you can see the base right now, the Shima has gotten into the base behind us. So I start turning away from the cap in order to make myself skinny for the destroyer, because I know I'm approaching areas where the torpedoes can come through. So I start turning away. The Shima opens up and starts firing, but he gets himself detected, but I don't really have a way to shoot him at the moment. So the secondaries are just doing what they're doing. And as the Venezia burns out here, we're going to try to get some shots to get rid of it, right? Like, Venezia, as good as it is, it can be countered relatively easily by battleships. But again, it is a very, very, like, decent little cruiser when it comes to kiting away. It's hard to finish it off. And you can see I pick up my high caliber, just can't quite land enough shells. And that's the other part of having a full secondary build. And this is why I still say that after all this time, as much as I like the Agilane Bismarck, as much as I like this new commander, I think that the right choice for the most part to get the most consistency out of your ships for your German battleships is still going to be Henry J. Hyde. Now, if you don't have Henry J. Hyde and you want to pick this thing up, that's great. If you don't have Henry J. Hyde, you can still use Ciliax or Hipper as your commander and do just fine. But the main thing you want to try to avoid is going full into secondaries, because it's just so hard to stay within secondary range and be effective, especially when your main guns are less accurate and your main guns are going to be in a situation where you're potentially going to get outranged without being able to shoot anything. But I was confident that I was killing that Venezia there, which is why you saw me turn away and start going towards the Shimakaze, and then the Louisiana ends up finishing him with torpedoes, the Delaware. I thought it was Louisiana, but Delaware managed to finish him with torpedoes. Now, we know that the destroyer's here. You can see my destroyer is just now starting to get to a position where he could potentially help with the enemy Shima. And so I'm trying to put myself, and you'll see I make a right-hand turn, and that's what ends up getting me torpedoed. Like, if I'd have just stayed going straight, I'd have been fine. But I always overthink things. But unfortunately for the Shima, he leaves me with just enough to get away. It's nice being on the other end of that sometimes, I ain't gonna lie. But yeah, if I'd have just stayed straight, but I overthink it, I'm like, okay, he's probably torpedoed me, so let me turn a little bit, try to get out. Nope, that's what got me torpedoed. But 163,000 damage, Dreadnought, high cal, top of the leaderboard, 2,700 base XP, gearing, honorable mention. We did everything we could to hold our side, and that was a prime example of the secondary build of this thing and why I don't think that this commander is all that great for most games. If you get a small map like that where everybody charges in, fantastic. If you don't, you're going to find yourself at a disadvantage a lot. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments below, and if you like what I'm doing, punch the like button, leave a comment below, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and as always, I will see you in the next video.